Hey guys, Ogalbina here. Bring you guys our IBA season 6 or 7 week. What would it be? We're 4-2 going into this one. So that would mean it's week 7 battle against Grandmaster D-Ray and his San Diego Snugglers. Very, very good friend of mine. Amazing content creator. Really awesome dude. Please go give him a look in the description below. I know he's coming up on 200 subs here soon. So if you enjoy really energetic, really high quality production wise as well, draft league content, he's definitely your guy. Go check him out. He has a great podcast as well with his wife. So definitely go give that a look. But yeah, we're going into this week 4-2. We did get a forfeit win last week. That is why there's no IBA upload for week 6. Fortunately, we were supposed to go up against Ollie, and he just didn't really have the time to play. He had a lot going on, starting with school and a bunch of stuff. So fortunately, we didn't find the time to play, but hopefully we can get him, another time going forward. He's a good buddy of mine. But yeah, that puts us at 4-2. Want to kind of continue to swing the momentum. Maybe pick up, win number 3 in a row this week against D-Ray, but he has a very scary team. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into that. As you can see, his team over there and ours. But let's do a quick little team so you can see what we're bringing, why we're bringing, and all I guess so you have that background knowledge going into the match. And remember, this is Gen 7, so Gen 7 Wi-Fi, so not the typical Gen 8 stuff that you'd be thinking. No buff, rapid spin, extra drill, and nothing like that. No nasty plat Alakazam, scary stuff like that. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump in. So our team, if you did forget, in descending speed tiers, goes Salazzle, Alolan Persian, Superior, Mega Diancie, Frogadier, Golbat, Porygon, Z, Komodo, Seismitoad, Celesteela, and Reuniclus, while D-Ray's team consists of Noivern, Alakazam, Mega Absol, Helios, Ectodrill, Tapu Fini, Magmortar, Omastar, Mawile, Tangrowth, and Gigalith. Now, biggest starts to my team in particular, Noivern is really scary. I don't have great flying resist on this team outside of Celesteela, which gets very chipped very fast, especially when it's very pressured to check a lot of things on this team. So that can be really, really scary. Alakazam really terrifies me. Like a Charge Beam set or, just like a Life Orb, set with Shockwave can be really, really scary with us. Because again, Celesteela gets really, really overwhelmed this week, despite being really, good natural tech to those things. Heliolisk, big issue, just because our ground type dropped to a Grass Knot, so that's obviously not a good time. Excadrill can get out of hand if we end up using, what do you call it? Celesteela check. Those special attackers were very weak to Excadrill, so yikes, not a good time. So it's a lot of really scary offensive threats versus our team, but we have a lot of scary threats versus him as well. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. First off, we have our Celesteela, as you can see, rocking out the leftovers, Beast Boost ability, Heavy Slam, Flamethrower, leads to Protect, pretty much max HP, 100 defense, 268 special attack, and 92 speed def with a sassy nature. Even though this is like supposed to be that, and we'll go like that. Oh my gosh, that's so annoying. I'll put it in speed. But yeah, I think I built that at level 100 on accident, that first set at least. But yeah, really, really good check to his special offense in Noivern and Alakazam. It's a decent Mega Absol check, and it's a very good Excadrill check, but like I said, lots of pressure on it, so we're going to have to be very careful on how we use our Celesteela to check his offense, because we don't want to leave ourselves too wide open to something in the back. Other than that, does really well. Heavy Slam plus Flamethrower really does put a giant dent in his team, despite us not being super, super offensive. And then Leech Protect is just to stay decently healthy. We do beat Tangrowth. It's not a switch to Leech Seed, obviously, because we can just Flamethrower that thing down, and it doesn't really beat us. So that's obviously really, really solid for us. And yeah, that's going to be silly. Next up, we have Mega Diancie rocking out with the Diancite, obviously. Magic Balance Ability, Moonblast, Stealth Rock, Earth Power, and Rock Polish. 76 HP, 244 special attack, and 188 speed with a modest nature. Now, this thing does really, really well versus my opponent. Due to our really big drop in speed tiers, and trying to kind of exploit D-Ray being a little aggressive, we are able to go modest to speak. If we can get up a Rock Polish, and we have chip on stuff like Tangrowth and Gigalith and things like that, we have a Sash Broken on Alakazam, we chip the Fini. This is a great endgame win con, though we don't really need our Rock Stab in this game, in all honesty. So I end up going to Stealth Rock as the 4 slot, though we are Stealth Rock Polish. It gives us kind of a dual kind of role for Diancie here, to where we can use it to set up rocks, be good offensive pressure, stuff like that, good offensive rocker, and then we can also set it up in the end game potentially. So, and I needed rocks on this team, because you're going to see our Komodo does not have it this week. But yeah, it's going to be Diancie. Next up, we have our Komodo rocking out the Roselia Berry, bulletproof its ability, Dragonite, Drain Punch, Poison Drive, and Dragon Claw. 100 HP, 220 attack, and 188 speed with an adamant nature. This thing is also really, really good in the end game. We need to chip things like Tangrowth and Fini, but other than that, it does really, really well. We can Dragon Dance up, Drain Punch, a lot of health off. We can Dragon Claw the Noivern in terrain. It does not matter because it's obviously above the ground, so our damage isn't nerfed. And that's pretty much the only thing we're clicking it on, in all honesty. We can set up on things like Gigalith. We can set up on physically offensive Tangrowth. We can set up on a Feeny if it's weakened because of our Roselli Berry. We can set up on a Mega Absol that has Play Rough because of our Roselli Berry. And once we break that Sash on Zam, this set can really just win the game, in all honesty. Next up, we got our Reuniclus rocking out with the Colbert Berry Magic Guard's ability, Psyshock, Signal Beam, Calm Mind, and Recover. Max HP, 164 defense, 4 special attack, 60 spread def, and 28 speed with a calm nature. Now, this thing is a great win con in the end game, especially with Extra Drill out of the picture because we are not rocking Focus Dust. Because 1, don't want to miss. 2, I like the Signal Beam coverage for a potential Calm Mind Alakazam if we end up getting it in that war or potentially like that. Not even just a Calm Mind war, because I guess we would beat a 1v1 with Psyshocks and stuff like that because we live 2 Shadow Balls. But regardless, Reuni is really, really good in this game. It's a good Absol lore at +1. We always kill an Absol, which is obviously super, super clean. We can Calm Mind up on a lot. We're not, really threatened by a lot of D-Ray's offense, especially once we start Calm Minding up, because outside of the Excadrill, he doesn't really have any physical attackers, which is that and Absol, which we lure with the Colbert Berry and always live a hit. That really stops Reuniclus from really going crazy and just sitting on the entire team. So that's going to be a good endgame goal for us. Next up, we have our Superior rocking out with the Cobra Berry. Contrary to his ability, Leaf Storm, Glare, Dragon Pulse, and Synthesis. Synthesis is a bit iffy in the sand, obviously being nerfed, but outside of it, I like the general recovery, and I can't leech up on a lot. We are Cobra Berry plus Glare, so that we can Glare the Noivern at +2. Leaf Storm should put in range of Leaf Storm plus rocks and stuff like that should definitely put in range of +2 Dragon Pulse, which is obviously really nice. Glare is just great general for the entire team. It covers like a weird Aerial Ace X-Control as well, though I think it would probably be X-Scissor if it was covering, trying to cut coverage for SERP, because it also hits the Reuni, and Flying Step isn't necessarily helping it hit anything else on my team, in all honesty. But yeah, that's going to be SERP. It's a good backup check to the Drill. If we really need to, get a Glare off on that thing, we can obviously do so. And lastly, we have an Assault Vest, a Alolan Persian, rocking out the Fur Coat, Knockoff, U-Turn, Foul Play, and Seed Bomb, 228 HP, 12 attack, 140 defense, 4 speed def, and 124 speed with a Jolly nature. And this thing serves a nice, decent little blanket check, things like Helios, especially stuff like Absol. I figure we're going to get knocked off anyways. I almost went Z Parting Shot, but Parting Shot is a little bit iffy with the magic bounce around and stuff like that, as he could, potentially be really aggressive and try switching on that. I'd rather just U-turn, start getting residual chip off on everything as well. We don't really have great ways of hitting the Tangrowth or the Feeny, in all honesty, with C-Bomb. But C-Bomb at least covers that, gives me a little bit of chip off on that guy, and it makes it to where the Omastar can't set up on me. And that's actually a Pokemon I'm very, very afraid of. So the whole team right now doesn't really let it set up for free, so we should be fine. But I'd like to see C-Bomb on Persian nonetheless. And it's a really good lead in this matchup, because we shouldn't die to an Alakazam hit, especially with our AV. And if it's a absolute lead, which is something I really expect on D-Ray's end, we can obviously U-turn out, get good momentum, and go into something to revenge it afterwards. But yeah, that's going to be the team. I'll be right back with the match. Alright guys, here we are with the battle. You can see the team that D-Ray elected to bring. He went with the Mega Absol, Excadrill, Noivern, Helios, Gigalith, and Alakazam. Now, he brought all of the really big threats to me. Gigalith is obviously there to set up the sand. It's kind of dead weight otherwise, but it's there to set up the sand for Excadrill, which is very, very scary for me. Mega Absol, I don't switch and do very well. Noivern, I don't switch and do very well. Helios can don't pivot around it, especially with the team that are brought. And then Alakazam can be really, really scary if it is the correct set versus me. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the battle. I am going to lead off with my Persian just because I feel like it's my best overall lead. I know I can get a hit from everything. I can potentially get a knockoff on something. I can, pivot around, be a general nuisance to my opponent's team, and kind of go from there. As you're going to see the lead off with Goon, which is going to be the Mega Absol, which I will 100% take. This is probably my main initial switch in and pivot into this thing to see what he wants to do. I get a really, 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 really free U-turn off right here. And there's not much that D-Ray can do to, really stop that at this point, which is obviously really, really nice. So he is going to Mega up turn 1, telling me that he is electing to stay in. I'm figuring maybe he can go for a Play Rough, but I know with my Fur Coat and my investment, I am not to get KO'd by a Jolly Play Rough, which is obviously really, really clutch, as he does end up just going for a knockoff, which is fine. Losing my AV is a little bit unfortunate, because I definitely don't take a good hit from a Alakazam if it's a Focus Blast at this point. But I can get off a big U-turn on this thing. Pivot out. It did about damage, I thought, from a not very much so bulk invested Absol. And I can go into my Celesteela. I thought about it for a while. This thing could have coverage for everything else on my team to really knock it out. While Celesteela, taking a Fire Blaster knockoff is not very, great for us. It's something that we can get by and live with. So I am just going to throw off a Heavy Slam. He does end up throwing off a knockoff. Completely fair. He didn't have great pivots into Celesteela, especially if I was an offensive set. So I am just going to throw off a Heavy Slam, knock out the Absol, which is awesome. Big threat to my team. Neutralize, and I'm going to be able to, get off of, pretty big lead here. Unfortunately, the Helios is going to come out. It reveals to be Air Balloon, so it's nice to know it's not Life Orb or Specs or Scarf or anything like that. So obviously good information to know there, but I obviously can't stay in, and I figure my least useful member is probably my Alolan Persian. I could potentially get a big knockoff on this thing if it wants to stay in, and he does end up going for a Volt Switch. Again, completely fair, doing a lot of damage to my Persian, but again, it wasn't 100% needed at this point. As out comes the Noivern, and this is not good because I don't switch into Noivern whatsoever. Is he's going to end up going for a U-turn though, which is very interesting because in my head I was thinking Flamethrower was incredibly free there if he did have it on it, or something like that. Maybe he was Super Fang over Flamethrower because he knew Celesteela was going to be split def. But regardless, I got a lot of damage off on the Celly, which opens up his drill. Completely fine with me though, because I just stayed and I clicked Nox just to try and get some damage off. He ended up missing the Hurricane, and he went for that, or if he went for like a Roost, something. But we're going to get off a pretty big knockoff. Knockoff into Flat Play, unfortunately, does not knock out Helios, but we get a ton of chip off on it. And again, very big threat to my team. So Persian really did his job. It didn't get any kills this game. It didn't do anything flashy. It ended up being our, our first death. But it got sufficient chip on the things I needed it to, and it was a great pivot in the early game, which was really important for Persian in this game in particular. So out comes the Noivern again. I did some calcs with my spread. I do have to Mega up first turn via the IBA rules, but I know for a fact that a Life Orb, what do you call it? I know he's not Life Orb now, but even a Life Orb Iron Tail max attack invested does not knock out our Diancie from here, which obviously fine. He's going to go for a U-turn, revealing that it is not going to be obviously Life Orb, but we would have saw that before with the U-turn on the Persian. Completely fine though, because I get a completely free Moonblast and nothing switches in on it really easily. As out comes the Gigalith, and we're gonna see Sand isn't gonna pop. And Deer definitely told me after this was a mistake. He 100% meant to be Sandstream, which is really nice for me and really unfortunate for DUA, because what that's gonna do is gonna allow me to knock out this Gigalith at 2, and it's gonna make that extra drill so much less of a threat when it can't outspeed my entire team. As out comes the Alakazam. Now I'm thinking this thing probably has something for me. We're going to pivot out, see exactly what it wants to go into. We're going to go into our Uniclus. I know it can take 2 hits, and I don't expect to be Life Orb, Shadow Ball, or to click it at least at this point, as he is going to end up going for a substitute. Showing that he's definitely probably not Sash. He's definitely more so likely Life Orb. Revealing the Energy Ball, though, and this is completely fine, because what that's going to do is just about nothing. We are pretty split def for Uniclus, and it's going to let me get off a free Signal Beam, break this thing sub, and be in a pretty good spot in all honesty. So I am going to throw off said Signal Beam, and going to be able to break this Alakazam sub. And this next turn, I'm just going to throw off another one. I could have recovered, I could have Calm Minded, something like that, but I don't want to risk him being Shadow Ball and putting me into a KO range. Well, I could have just knocked him out with a Signal Beam, and I'm not super worried about this X control coming in, because I do still have plenty of counterplay to it chilling in the back, especially without Sand. That's the biggest part right now for me. So I'm going to pivot out of my Uniclus. Very good in this endgame for me to keep and hold on to. It's obviously really nice. As he is going, I'm going to go into my Celesteela. Smiley, check this. As he makes a good play and goes hard for the Z move, which is going to do a lot to our Celesteela. That is a Rocky and Z animation for those of you who aren't very familiar with the Z crystals and all that good stuff back, from Gen 7. But I knew as soon as I saw it, I was like, it was Z-Rock, which is completely fair. Obviously, his plan was to force chip on Selly, which he 100% could have done pretty easily with this team because of how pressured it was. Get up to +2 and throw off a big Rock MZ. Obviously, that's going to put me in range of potential another Rock Slide, as he ends up going for the Sword Shift, though, which I was completely fine with. All I'm going to do right here is just throw off a big Flamethrower. Try and get off as much chip as I can. There's no reason for me to Leech Seed, no reason for me to protect, especially with no lefties. And this is going to put him in range of pretty much anything else on my team at this point, as now this turn he goes for the X-Sensor. And this play definitely very much so confused me. I don't know what he was expecting me to save Selly for with no lefties and that low in health. We weren't really checking much at this point. It was here just to kind of let this extra drill knock us out. But he's going to give me the extra drill with my Celesteela, which puts me up to +1 spin def right here with Selly. Not going to matter, though, because out comes the Helios. And again, I don't have switch into this, so this gives me a good opportunity to sack off my Celesteela in order to get a little bit of switch initiative and be able to do some work from there. And with the Excadrill gone, the one mon that walled my Reuniclus up to this point, we're going to be in a good spot to potentially win with that. as he is going to volt out, give me Search Initiative, go out into the Alakazam, and this is completely fine with me because I should have a free Reuniclus here. But I'm an idiot. I completely forgot. I was looking at the calcs and like Life Orb Psychic doesn't even knock me out. I can Rock Polish up and win. No, I'm an idiot. I completely forgot this thing was Energy Ball, and Life Orb Energy Ball 100% did knock me out. So that looked like a bad play because it was. I had to hope that he didn't call me and go for a Shadow Ball there. And hope that he didn't have Shadow Ball, which obviously I don't think he does, because when he was subbed down, what he hit my Reuniclus with was an Energy Ball, and I knew I could live 2 of those, so my best play was to go out into that, and then I'm just going to recover from here. If it was Shadow Ball, though, I think we might have lost the game off that choke. That was really bad by us, so I am going to recover on up real quick, and, be in a pretty good spot. I'm talking really fast, and from here, I'm going to throw off a Side Shock just to gauge damage on this Noivern. Maybe force it into a Roost turn, get a little bit of damage off for the rest of my team. I know once my Diancie gets up a Rock Polish, it's essentially a wrap as well. But he's going to go for another Hurricane. And from here, I'm going to start spamming Recover. And I notice I can probably set up on this thing if I don't hit myself in Confusion. Or if he, hits all of his thing. He also has to hit all of his Hurricanes as well, like on the right turn where I hit myself in Confusion. But I am going to be able to get that one off at the very least. Be able to recover up. And this is going to get a little bit slow, just because of the fact that I don't really have, a great way of, switching into this thing. I'm just going to keep spamming Recover because it's just kind of my best play. I want to put myself in the best position possible for this endgame. And unfortunately, that's kind of stalling it out with Reuniclus here, as he's going to go for a U-turn right here, as I believe I recover yet another time. Trying to put myself in a position where I can start call minding up more and, potentially take home this game. As out comes the Helios. This is completely fine. I did click recover once again. I wanted to get up to, the max amount of HP possible. We know this thing is not a boosting item as well, which is very, very important to know. And from here, I can kind of just freely click call mind. I am at full HP. I know nothing he can do can 2-hit KO me. If he wants to go for a Dark Pulse, that's not even a 2-hit KO. So even if he gets a flinch, worst comes to worst, I can start recovering again. Hopefully just not get super unlucky. As right here, I am going to be able to click, oh, no, I clicked Side Shock. I feel like I should call mine to that turn. Maybe I was just trying to speed up because I felt bad for that. But regardless, at this point, he's going to go for Hurricane. Hit again, because he does not miss Hurricanes. Do a good amount of damage as we do recover, because we were in potential 2-hit KO range. No reason to risk, not getting up and getting healthier and stuff like that, because I can't avoid a 2-hit KO from this thing if I am a little bit healthier. Right here, he's going to go for a Flamethrower. Probably trying to preserve his Hurricane PP because we were kind of stalling him out of it at that point, but I knew I could live 2 Hurricanes from there, so I ended up Calm Minding on that turn, and that's a phenomenal turn for us because this next turn is a free recover, and from here it's looking pretty good for your hero at this point with the Reuniclus, unless we get very, very much of luck. And even if that does end up happening, I don't think he has Iron Tail on his Noivern, and it doesn't knock me out in 1, that's for sure. And we know he's not Z, his Extra was Z, so we'll be in a pretty good spot with our Mecha Diancie to win in the end game regardless. So it's just kind of a more drawn out version of this because I'm trying to get myself the best differential possible, just because of the fact that we're getting towards the end of the season, playoff push and all that good stuff. Obviously not fun for D-Ray, I do apologize, but I felt like it was my best play at this point. As I am going to Side Shock right here, the Zam's going to try and come in, get maybe one more switch and get a hit off. As you're going to see, we're going to crit that Side Shock, but actually knocks out the Zam. I know Zam is very, very frail on the physically defensive side, but I'm not very invested on my Reuni, and that's a Side Shock. It's a resistant move. We're able to knock it out, which is pretty funny, I thought. And yeah, from there, we'll be in a pretty good spot. This next turn, I am going to recover one more time. If he gets like a Dark Pulse flinch into a crit, he can potentially knock us out. So I want to, potentially roost up. Or if he gets like a crit into another one, he could potentially knock us out with like a Noivern hit. And again, I want my best diff possible, unfortunately. So I am going to recover on up, get back up to pretty much exactly, actually, not even pretty much, full HP. And I'll be able to throw off a Side Shock this turn. He finally misses a Hurricane right at the end. At that point, I don't think it really mattered unless he got a crit Confusion into like a flinch with the Dark Pulse on a Helios, which I don't even know if he had. I feel like he would have already spammed it at this point versus me trying to get some, flinch hacks and stuff like that. But regardless, we're going to knock out the Noivern. Out comes the Helios. It's going to click Thunderbolt. Show me it 100% probably doesn't have Dark Pulse at this point, but, that was just kind of my thought process while playing through the game because it hadn't shown me all its moves. I'm going to be able to Side Shock one more time. We're going to pick up a nice 4-0 dub against Mr. D-Ray and his San Diego Snugglers. Now, Jesus him, I definitely think not being Excadrill, San Gigalith, really did kind of, end the game for him because he really did need that Excadrill to break through for the rest of his offense and put him in a better spot. Oops. I thought I paused it. Let's go back to the end screen. Yeah, I do think you really need an extra drill to really break through my team. But other than that, it just kind of showed Ryuni is a big menace once you lose your things to break it. And extra drill and Absol were really the only things on his team that he ended up bringing that could break through my Ryuni. Barring like a taunt super thing Noivern or a life orb shadow ball Zam with like Calm Mind or something like that. Obviously, because no nasty pot this gen, being that it is Gen 7. But yeah, GG's to him. Definitely a good player. It just kind of was an unfortunate game due to misgens and stuff like that. But definitely go check them out in the description below. If you're new here, be sure to drop a sub. We're pushing up, trying to get to an end of the year goal of 400 subs. If you guys can help me do it, I would really appreciate it. I've had great growth on the channel for the last couple months, and I really do appreciate everybody new that's come along and helped us out with that. But if you could as well, I would really appreciate it. And yeah, drop a like if you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later.